If you've ever been told that you should be doing deadlifts, or you are doing deadlifts at the gym, but you don't really know which muscles you're working or why you're actually doing deadlifts, or which deadlift variation is right for you and your goals, then this video is for you. Deadlifts are a very important compound movement and should be part of the majority of strength training programs, but the variation of deadlift that you choose to use in your program based on your goals and your body is very important, especially if your goals are body recomposition, fat loss, glute development, and or building overall strength without wrecking your joints or causing injury. Choosing the right variation of deadlift really matters. In this video, I'm going to break down and completely explain the Romanian deadlift, the Sumo deadlift, and the conventional deadlift, which are the three most common deadlift variations, so that by the end of this video, you have a better understanding of what muscles you should be targeting and are being worked through each movement, how to perform each properly with not only a barbell, but also dumbbells or kettlebells or a trap bar. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that bell so you get a notification whenever I release a new video, just like this one, every single week. So let's get right into comparing these three different deadlift variations. And I'm gonna start with the Romanian deadlift. The Romanian deadlift, also known as the RDL, is a pure hip hinge movement. The bar starts at the top and the goal is to load the glutes and the hamstrings and keep constant tension. The muscles we're working during an RDL are the hamstrings, which are the primary and main driver of the movement, your glute max, especially at the top of the movement, your erector spinae, so your back muscles for the isometric stability needed to perform the movement with good form, as well as your core and your deep core stabilizers. We are also working our grip strength and a little bit of upper back strength to maintain proper posture through the movement. But the main drivers of this movement and the main muscle you should be thinking about when you're performing this movement is your hamstrings. And like I say, a little bit of glute max when you get to the top of the movement. I think while you're performing an exercise, knowing which muscle you should be talking to. I talk a lot about the mind-muscle connection in a lot of my YouTube videos to get the most out of each strength training exercise you're performing. So if you know which muscles are supposed to be working and what is stabilizing and what is the prime mover of the exercise, it will go so far in performing the movement with proper form, but also getting the most out of the movement in max muscle contraction. So now let's go over how to perform an RDL or Romanian deadlift with a barbell. So what you're gonna do is start with your feet about shoulder width apart. The bar is going to start on the floor unless you have a barbell racked in, say, a squat rack. That is fine. You can start with the barbell racked as well. Arms are going to be at your side. So wherever your arms naturally hang, that's exactly where you're going to put your hands on the bar. So when starting this movement, you're gonna do a double overhand grip on the bar. There's also an option to do a mixed grip where you rotate one of your wrists. Some people feel a little bit stronger in this movement. Whenever you choose your movement, you are going to pull the bar up and the exercise starts from here. So again, if you have the ability to rack the bar here and you can grab a bar from this position, it's probably best case scenario if you don't have to start by lifting it. First thing we're gonna do is make sure shoulders are back, and we're going to pretend we're closing a car door with our butt. So you're sticking your butt out and I'm slowly running the bar down the front of my thighs, going down until I feel that tension. So I'm gonna keep going here until I feel this tension in my glutes and my hamstrings. So I'm not coming all the way to the floor. I'm making sure my shoulders aren't rounding forward through the movement. I'm keeping my core braced and my spine in a neutral position. So there's no arch in my lower back. I'm not reaching the bar all the way out here. It's staying nice and tucked into my body. Shoulders are back, so this is where I was saying your upper back muscles are working. Really sticking my butt out with just a slight bend in my knee. So I'm not bending through here. I'm not doing a complete stiff leg deadlift. Slight bend. Once I get to that point here where I'm feeling tension through my hamstrings, I'm gonna drive my heels down into the floor, contract through here, and drive up. So this is where you'll get that max contraction through your glutes, but the main driver on the way up is your hamstring muscles. One other thing I like to tell people is oftentimes, especially in this movement, because it's a slow and controlled movement, if you find Your legs could allow you to go heavier, but you feel like your grip strength is failing you. Using something like a lifting strap is definitely a great option and something I personally use when I want to go heavier in my RDLs, but maybe I've done a lot of grippy exercises already in my workout, or I just feel like my grip just isn't there today to be able to allow me to lift more weight. A lifting strap is going to help with that. And basically you're just gonna wrap it around the bar. Okay, hands are in that exact same position. And this just allows you to really focus on the movement you're performing versus the grip strength. So here we are, shoulders are back, hinging at the hips, core is tight, coming down till I feel that tension, not hitting the floor and driving through that tension, max squeezing my glutes at the top, staring a few inches in front of me. Okay, so you don't want to be looking here and you don't want to be looking all the way down. I always say, just pick a spot on the floor a few inches in front of you to keep your neck neutral. So that is performing an RDL with a barbell. You can do the exact same movement with dumbbells. You can do the exact same movement with a trap bar or kettlebells. And I'll do a quick review of the other equipment at the end of the video. What is the RDL best for? Using an RDL in your program is great if your goal is body recomposition or fat loss, if you are looking to build and shape your glutes and your hamstrings, if you wanna lower the stress on your joints compared to a heavy pull off of the floor, or you just wanna learn better hinge mechanics. So learning how to hinge, which is a great functional exercise because we do that a lot in our everyday life. So learning how to properly hinge, adding the RDL into your strength program so you can practice that hinge movement and get stronger through that hinge movement, which is also great for just functioning in real life and preventing injury. Now let's talk about the conventional deadlift. So what is the difference between an RDL and the conventional deadlift? So the conventional deadlift is going to start from the floor and it requires coordination between the legs, the hips, and the upper body. This is basically a full body strength movement. And what muscles are worked during the conventional deadlift? Again, the glutes and the hamstrings, the quads, so the front of your legs during the initial drive of the movement, your lats and your upper back, your core again for that 360 bracing, your forearms again and your grip strength, and again, your spinal stabilizers. So the conventional deadlift is best for building overall strength, improving bone density, and it is a great compound movement to recruit a lot of muscles through one movement. So more calorie burn and more muscle recruitment through this one movement versus having to perform a bunch of other exercises to hit all of these muscles individually. So let's take a look now at the conventional deadlift and let's see how that looks different than the RDL that I just performed. So conventional deadlift, you are also setting your feet up about hip width apart. Your hands are also just going to naturally, wherever they come down, as you put your arms down onto the bar, that's where they are going to be. You don't have to be wider here. You don't have to be in here. And again, you can go with a double overhand or a mixed grip, whichever you prefer. Both are great options. So here we are, locking your hands on the bar, making sure the bar is positioned over your midfoot. So we don't want it over our toes. You don't necessarily have to be touching your shins and touching your body like you were in the RDL, but close enough to your body that it's comfortable and you're not reaching forward to grab the bar. Right before I lift, I'm going to shoulders back, so I'm feeling my lats engaged. You see there's a bit more of a bend in my knee. In the RDL, I was more here as I was coming down. So this is where the conventional deadlift differs from that RDL. I've got more of a bend. I'm gonna feel a bit more through my quads. I'm still engaging my glutes and my hamstrings. Right before I lift, shoulders are back. I'm gonna take a deep breath to expand my rib cage and lock in my core. So this is gonna help keep my spine neutral and stabilize to not hurt my lower back. So here we go. Bar is over midfoot. Right before I lift, shoulders are back. I'm just pulling this tension out of the bar. So you can see there's the bar goes through the whole of the plate. There's a little bit of give here in the bar. So what I always do is right before I lift, I go through my motions of shoulders back. I do a little hip pop here. So popping up to kind of wake up my hamstrings and lock those in. I pull that tension out of the bar, take a deep breath, and back down. And that is a conventional deadlift. So through this initial drive, my quads, my hamstrings, and my glutes are working together, and I'm exploding up off the floor. So once you get that tension, so going through the motions, taking your time, locking everything in, and once you learn how to get a little rhythm and activate the right muscles, you can just continue to add weight, and this is how you're going to get stronger without injuring yourself. So that's the conventional deadlift. You can see how that differs from the RDL. Now let's talk about the sumo deadlift. What is the sumo deadlift now? So we have the Romanian deadlift, the conventional deadlift, and now the sumo deadlift. The sumo deadlift is very similar to the conventional deadlift, only you're going to take a wider stance. And this allows for a more upright torso and shifts some of the load away from the lower back. The muscles we're working during a sumo deadlift are the glutes, the adductors, so the inner thighs, quads again, like in the conventional deadlift, all the core stabilizers again, and of course, again, your upper back and your grip strength. What is the sumo deadlift best for? People with longer torsos who might find it very uncomfortable to do a conventional deadlift, maybe they start to feel it more through their lower back, might feel they are able to lift more weight and be more comfortable in a sumo deadlift position. This is a bit of a more lower back friendly exercise than the conventional deadlift with a straight barbell. If you're looking for inner thigh or glute development, the sumo deadlift is a great exercise for that. And then lastly is lifters who struggle with conventional deadlift form. If you've tried and tried again and you really want to use a straight barbell, but you find that conventional deadlift, your back just doesn't really like the exercise, I am a firm believer of if you've tried and the form just isn't there and your body just doesn't like that position, there's so many other options to hit those muscle groups and to train your body without having to risk injury. So this is where a sumo deadlift might come in, where you can lift a little bit heavier in a sumo stance form versus conventional, then that's a great option for you and go for it. So now let's go over what the sumo deadlift is going to look like versus the Romanian deadlift and the conventional deadlifts. Sumo deadlift, so our heels are starting a bit wider than our hips and our toes are pointing out. You don't have to be super wide, just wide enough that you can feel you can get down comfortably. So if you're too narrow, you might find, oh, this is not comfortable and I can't kind of get a solid grip on the bar. You want to feel like once I'm here, I'm in a solid stance. So I like to say, point your toes towards the outside of the plate. So you want to make sure your toes aren't too wide or they're not too narrow. So pointing them towards the outside of these plates, kind of what I find is a good cue and will give you a good understanding of how wide your feet should be and where your toes should be pointing. So again, double overhand or mixed grip, but now your hands are coming inside your legs. So again, just wherever your shoulders fall, that's where I'm grabbing the bar. In a sumo deadlift position, you can see my chest is a little bit higher up. I'm not in that hinge position like I was in an RDL or a little bit down like I was in the conventional deadlift. I'm coming down, chest and torso a bit more upright. Barbell is still close to my thighs. Again, right before I lift, shoulders are back, engaging my lats, torso is up. I just personally like to do this little, I call it like a hip pop, here, here. So it just kind of wakes up my glutes and kind of gets them activated. So there's nothing wrong with doing that, but of course do what you feel is best for you. So right before I lift here, my heels are ready to drive through the ground. Shoulders away, I brace my core, so I take that big inhale. I'm up and I'm driving up through and right back down. Here, hip pop, brace, drive through my heels and down. So you can see how that movement differs from the conventional deadlift. And one main form thing that I didn't mention in the other two, but I really, really want to get across, when you are performing deadlifts, especially if you're wanting to get stronger in deadlifts and starting to lift more and more weight, you gotta wear flat shoes. So I'll sometimes wear my Converse, or I literally just kick my shoes off and lift in my socks. And you'll often see people doing that, and there's a reason for that. Feeling that heel connection with the ground is so important in a deadlift. That is where your power is coming from. So when I'm performing this deadlift, I'm pushing the ground away from me as I'm pulling the bar up. So that's really going to activate the right muscles and give you that explosive power that you need to get the bar up off the floor. If you're wearing running shoes that have a thick sole, they might be comfortable, but when you are lifting, you are not going to be able to feel through that thick, solid, squishy sole. You're not going to be able to feel your heels really driving into the ground, which means you might be able to perform lighter deadlifts, but if you really want to feel the muscles driving and exploding, you need to wear a flat shoe, or just if you're wearing running shoes to the gym because your feet hurt and you need them, that's totally fine. Kick them off while you're performing your deadlifts and then put them back on and go about your business. Don't worry about what other people think. It's completely fine. Just to go over that quickly, if I'm in my deadlift position, right here before I lift, my heels are driving. I am pushing my heels down as I'm exploding up. So from here, core is tight, heels, you know, going slow is not what we want to do. Drive, boom, up, right? Conventional deadlift, up. The RDL is where you can go a little bit slower and more controlled because we're trying to get that max tension through our glutes and our hamstrings, and that's completely fine. But if you are pulling a bar up off the floor, you need to have something where you can feel that floor underneath you and really get that drive through your heel. So there you go. That is the Romanian, the conventional, and the Sumo deadlifts. Now let's quickly show you what these might look like if you don't want to use a straight bar, if you want to play around with dumbbells, kettlebells, or a trap bar. I'll quickly show you what these moves will look like. Do all these movements with a kettlebell, exact same motion. I've got my kettlebell between my feet, shoulders are back. This is the RDL. So from here, exact same movement. I'm hinging at the hips, slight bend in my knee, coming down just till I feel that tension, and up. Squeezing my glutes at the top, hinge, hinge, hinge. Exact same motion you would with the barbell. Conventional deadlift. I'm starting from the floor, shoulders are back, bend in my knee. I do that, what I call the booty pop. Do the booty pop, get that tension in your glutes and hammies, shoulders back, brace your core, drive up and down. So remember, driving through my heels, brace, up. Sumo, heels are wider than my hips, butt down, chest up. Get that tension through my glutes, up and down. So again, one thing I also like to point out, I'm gonna give you the forward view of this Sumo deadlift, is right here, you wanna make sure before you lift that your knees don't knock in. So when I'm coming down in my Sumo deadlift, right before I lift personally, shoulders back, tension through my glutes, force my knees out. So this really gets your adductors, those inner thigh muscles, firing and making sure that your knees don't knock in during the movement, which is very important. Same thing if you're doing it with a barbell, you should be doing this exact same movement. I just forgot to mention it earlier. Shoulders back, here, knees out. And there you go, exact same movement. Some people feel a lot more comfortable performing these with a kettlebell before you move on to a barbell to get your strength up and just go over the form without a risk of injury, and that is totally fine. Again, you do what's best for you and your body and work your way up. Okay, Michelle, but what about dumbbells? You can perform the exact same movement with 2 dumbbells, RDLs. Dumbbells here, shoulders back, hinging through the hips, coming down until I feel that tension in my glutes and hamstrings. Driving my heels into the ground and squeeze my glutes at the top. Exact same movement as the barbell. Conventional deadlift with the dumbbells. Here, see, I'm slightly more bent. I'm here, drive up. Here, coming down from here and drive up. And then a sumo deadlift. Heels are wider than my hips. Few options. You can hold 2 dumbbells side by side like this. So I'm coming down, get that tension, force my knees out and drive up. You can also hold a heavier dumbbell like so and do the same movement. Whatever feels best for you, your grip strength, your back, and your strength level. And then last option I want to show you is a trap bar, also known as a hex bar. This bar is a favorite of a lot of my clients. Some people find that depending, if you sit at a computer all day and maybe your posture is a bit more rounded forward, and with a straight barbell, you find it hard to really get your shoulders back and not feel it in your lower back. This is a great option because it puts your arms in a more neutral position, but you can still get that same benefit of deadlifting versus using a straight bar. So I will show you the RDL and a conventional deadlift with a trap bar. Same options here. I'm starting from the top. See, my shoulders are at my sides, shoulders away from my ears, hinging, 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 till I feel that tension, driving up, squeezing my glutes at the top. Same movement, just arms at my sides versus at my front as you would in a straight bar. And same goes for a conventional deadlift. Shoulders away from my ears, booty pop, get that tension, looking a few inches in front, up and back down. So there you go. I'll give you the front view. So again, instead of having my hands here, my hands are in a more natural position, but I can get that same muscle recruitment as I would in a straight bar deadlift. So I really want to emphasize here, there are so many options of deadlifts based on what I've told you here today. You decide based on your goals what deadlift is best for you. I personally feel like learning all of these movements is best, but you choose the equipment that works best for you, the weight that works best, and build yourself up. But just remember, through any of this, form and mind-muscle connection is the most important. You really want to feel the exercise where I explained the muscle groups that we are working in that exercise. Take your time, build yourself up slowly, learn proper form, proper core bracing before you start to stack the weight on just to compete with other people at the gym. It is not worth it, I promise. So there you go, guys. I hope this video was helpful, whether you're a beginner to strength training or you've been strength training for a really long time and you've been performing these movements, and now you have a better understanding of which muscles you should be talking to, because like I said in the video, that mind-muscle connection during your movement is so very important. Or you just have a better general understanding of why your coach is making you do each of these individual deadlift variations. Any questions, make sure you leave them in the video comments below, or let us know which is your favorite deadlift variation or what piece of equipment is your favorite to deadlift with. If you need more help with your workouts or your nutrition, you can learn more about working with me one-on-one in my online fitness and nutrition coaching program. I will put a link to that in the video description below. As always, have a great day, guys. Happy lifting, and I will see you in the next one.